Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on what part of the world you're in. This is John Catsimatidis out of WABC in New York. With us today is Dr. Oz out of Washington, and we have Katie Pasitney out of the British Columbia. And we're here because we're all concerned about these iconic ancient animals that may have antibodies that could have positive implications for humanity, and there's threats that they may be killed or destroyed. And there's we don't really understand why this is going to happen. These are not poultry the way it has been classified in some respects. And we are here to voice our concerns and ask for common sense to prevail. And, and that's basically it. We want common sense to prevail. And Dr. Oz, who's with us right now, has asked the FDA, which is one of the iconic agencies in the United States, be allowed to test these animals and check and see if any antibodies. And Dr. Oz, would you like to say a few words?
Sure, John. This is an effort that started with Secretary Kennedy at Health and Human Services to try to find some middle ground. We are completely understanding of the rules that exist in Canada that govern some of their trade arrangements. Sometimes there are untoward consequences of these arrangements. No one, I don't think, had envisioned the possibility that these iconic birds, as you call them, these ostriches, would be caught in the middle of this. And unlike most poultry, ostriches live 50 years in captivity, as Katie's, I think, going to share. And so if these birds have weathered H5N1, avian flu, or others types of maladies for decades, there's something that we should learn about in that context. What is it that allowed these birds that we know withstood a H5N1 epidemic about 8 months ago, and probably one 4 or 5 years ago, has allowed them to recover and, in fact, have antibodies that they're putting in their eggs. So all the hens, Katie has told me, have now had eggs that have antibodies in them. So for that reason, these birds themselves are now resistant to getting the H5N1 virus. And that has huge scientific value to the global community to find out what it is that allowed these birds to tolerate this often deadly illness, recover fully, have no recurrent infections within the flock. And that information is not just about ostriches. That information can be beneficial to other poultry around the world. The slaughter of poultry in this country led to increases in prices when the last epidemic hit here. And it might be a tool to reduce that from being the path forward. It might be allow us to develop medications that could help with poultry, but it could also benefit humans, which of course is my major focus as the Administrator of Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services. How do you have a population offered solutions that might be beneficial? Well, one thing is to take advantage of insights gained from other species. And in this case, it can be beneficial to humans if we find out what allowed these birds to survive and thrive in recovery after having H5N1. Secretary Kennedy has spoken to Jay Bhattacharya, who's head of the NIH. They are willing to research these animals, identify other insights beyond the ones I've highlighted. Marty McCary, who runs the FDA, would also like to be involved in this process. And so I think we have an opportunity to do something helpful for Canada, for the United States, and the global community in general, if we can identify ways to learn from the 400 ostriches that are currently in British Columbia. That stated, if that's not the desire, if there's a concern for whatever reason about doing the research in Canada, or they even keep the animals alive so they can be researched in Canada, we have the opportunity perhaps to bring them to the United States. We'd like to explore those options with Canadian leaders, depending on the positions they're desiring of taking. And I'm aware of the court case last week that I'm told would push authorities to slaughter these animals to cull the herd, as it's called, but it's actually a slaughter of 400 animals, again, decades old animals. And when you do that, new animals that would replace them would not have antibodies to H5N1. So if there was an infection in the future, then the likelihood is that all the animals would get ill, many would die, and by killing off animals that had survived and resisted infection, we'd not only lose insights about how they did it, but we'd also lose their resistance. So future flocks would be that much more at risk, and not just ostriches. We're talking about the impact on the entire poultry industry.
Thank you, Dr. Oz. And I don't know why the agency in Canada is such in a hurry to commit this murder of these iconic animals. And why don't we go to British Columbia, Katie Pasitney? Let's go to British Columbia. And Katie, these animals are isolated. They're not infecting anybody else.
No.
What is going on? Give us a report of what's going on in British Columbia.
Sure. Good morning, everyone. We're 223 days today. Healthy, herd immunity, full of antibody ostriches. 223 days. So we have had no illness and no deaths on our farms for 223 days. They are thriving. Our herd of ostriches is a living vault of immunity. Once it's a renewable source, if we destroy this, we're losing decades and decades of all the environmental challenges that their bodies have went through and the antibodies that they've developed. We lose that in just by culling them and not testing them. We are still restricted to test our animals to prove their health without a threat of 6 months in jail and a $200,000 fine here in Canada. We've been asking the Canadian Food Inspection Agency to re-look at Section 48, paragraph 2 about their stamping out policy. It shows that there's more than a binary approach in dealing with stamping out, and there are other options, which are testing, monitoring, quarantining. We've been quarantined now since December 31st, and this is kind of a test whether, I guess, humanity chooses destruction or discovery. And we hold the key to some really great opportunity. We have proven tests that these ostrich eggs hold antibodies, not just for H5N1, but Pseudomonas bacteria, COVID-19, and then whatever else environmental challenges and viral environmental things that they've been through. So this is not a one-size-fits-all approach, is stamping out. We need to really look at that on a global scale. It kills the possibility of a natural, affordable alternative to Big Pharma's monopoly. And we have the opportunity for therapeutics, a natural solution for humanity. We are dealing with something that could be so wonderful for the world. And these ostriches are leading the charge, and we just want to be able to bring that opportunity to the world without shielding it from the world.
These are, thank you, Katie. These are ancient animals. They've survived millions of years. Now, the question is, are they going to survive the CFIA? I know that Dr. Oz has to be at the White House in a few minutes. And if there's any questions, we'll take some questions now. In addition, while we're waiting to see if there are any questions, I have written the Prime Minister of Canada, and I've asked them for special dispensation and to have common sense prevail. And we hope that the Prime Minister reads our letter and acts upon it. Any calls coming in? Any questions coming in?
I have a question here. Can you hear me,
Yes,
John?
I can hear you. Yes.
John, it's Brady Strachan with CBC in Kelowna here. We spoke on the phone a couple of months ago. Just wondering, we know your interest in this case, and you've covered it on your radio program. We saw in the email that went out today that you've been also helping the legal fight here financially. Can you tell us how much financial stake you have in the legal fight?
Me and a friend of mine contributed towards Katie's legal bills uh, to the tune between the two of us, I think 35,000 US dollars.
Okay. And then also, we heard that there were meetings with the head of the CFIA in the past. Of course, this has gone to court since then. The CFIA clearly doesn't seem to want to budge. Has there been any other high-level discussions between yourself or members of the U.S. administration and the CFIA in recent weeks?
There's some confidential meetings that I cannot talk about, but people at very high levels are aware of the situation.
Those are my questions. Thank you.
Thank you.
I was talking to experts and they were talking about options. And one option that was allegedly suggested was to bring the ostriches inside, to move them inside so they don't pose a risk to the environment around. I want to know if this option has been considered and if funds would be provided or could be provided by you to go ahead with that option, which seems to have been dismissed by the owners of the farm.
I really, I'm a city guy that lives in New York City. I don't know anything about farming. So, I mean, I would say, I mean, isn't outdoors in the blue sky better for those animals than being cooped up in a coop? Katie, I
Yeah.
mean, I don't know if you have a question.
Yes, yes. They no that it that doesn't solve the problem here. We have resiliency in these animals and they are not shedding the virus anymore. They are not sick and they pose no public health threat. So all we're asking is to be able to test and show everyone that we're 223 days healthy animals. They do not keep a virus in them that just pops up again one day. They are full of herd immunity, natural antibodies, and once gone, their antibody diversity is erased forever.
So
Breathing,
Katie, my question is, my question is, Katie, and
yeah.
we have a lot of expressions here in New York. Why can't you test the animals, and they want to charge you $200,000 fine and put you in jail if you test the
Yeah.
animals? What is wrong with this picture?
Yeah. Yeah, so a barn's not gonna solve the problems that we're really trying to focus on here, and we're trying to create change for a better way, and protect our farm and other farms with the Stamping Out policy. Because if we could lose the potential of the scientific innovation that we have here on our farm with the situation that we're in, how much more opportunity have we lost by stamping out animals without testing them?
And
Excuse me.
in addition, why has Dr. Oz has offered the FDA, the iconic institute in the United States, to test these animals, and he's gotten no's. I mean, what is wrong with that? I mean, something is. There used to be an old expression, something is rotten in Denmark, but something is rotten somewhere.
Excuse me, I just have a follow-up question. I want to know, like, were you offered to bring the birds inside as an option, and why is that not an option to prevent risk of contamination in the environment?
For sure. Yeah, no, we weren't given that. It was looked at on our site if that would be a potential option, but it's not. The way we have our farm, the ostriches thrive outside. They love being outside. In captivity, they would not do good. We don't have we don't have barns like that. They would not be able to be locked in. And so that was just never, it's not an option
And
here.
And Dr. Oz says if Canada doesn't want the ostriches, that he has a 1,000-acre farm down in Florida, and he would volunteer to move them down there. I mean, but we need answers, and we need some common sense. Dr. Oz, I know you have to run because you have important meetings. Is there anything else you want to say before you run?
I think it's an opportunity for us to do better, all of us. I mean, it
Yeah.
seems to be that rules were made in a bygone era out of
21 years ago.
21 years. But again, this phrase abundance of caution keeps coming up because it came up a lot during the pandemic. The rules were made at the time. There's no way they envisioned this to be a possible outcome. If they knew it, I'm quite certain they would not have wanted this outcome. It's anti-scientific, and it's not just the ethical issue of slaughtering 400 birds, ostriches. Again, these are decades-old animals, so these are probably parts of Katie's family at this point. But the broader reality is that we have an incredible opportunity to advance science, something that just was handed to us by perhaps a freak of nature. These birds are able to withstand this potentially devastating H5N1 avian flu virus. And why would we throw away this unique wisdom that could accrue to us? And the history of humanity is dotted with opportunities that were presented to us that didn't look like it. I mean, the invention of penicillin happened in Dr. Fleming's laboratory in the 30s in England when he left to go on vacation and put a bunch of bacterial cultures on the windowsill, and a fungus got into those bacterial cultures and wiped them all out, destroyed all of his research. Instead of throwing everything away and cursing his fate, he said, well, my goodness, isn't that interesting? Fungus kills bacteria. Makes sense, actually. They fight over common territory. And so instead of throwing everything away, he studied the fungus, invented penicillin, and in the Second World War, saved countless lives because he was able to treat wounded soldiers. And of course, the rest is history. So let's take a lesson, a page from that history book lesson and apply it here to Katie's ostriches. There'll be probably other examples in the future, but this is just a perfect storm of opportunity we should not throw away. God bless you all. I'm going to go back to my day job. Take care, everybody.
Thank you.
Thanks, Dr. Ross.
Give the big guy my regards.
Good luck.
This is Dan Amber with The Atlantic. Hi, Katie. Hi, John. Thank you for setting this up. I just had a quick question about whether you've had any informal communication with CFIA about, are they willing to pause at least until you find out if you have leave to go to the Supreme Court or have further negotiations with the Canadian government?
No, we haven't had a discussion with them at this point. We are still looking for an emergency stay order because right now we have an open kill order on the ostriches, so they could come in whenever they want. We will be searching or looking and exploring for every opportunity for Supreme Court or just to come to some sort of common sense solution with them. Like Dr. Oz said, there's such opportunity here. And to be able to research these animals and use the antibodies that they already have to better animal and human welfare, protect us from viruses in the future, and better science and innovation, as well as collaborate across borders using resources that we would never have had access to should have this happened. Like we did during COVID-19. We partnered and relied heavily on collaboration with the FDA and the NIH. So it would be really nice to see that collaboration happen once again with H5N1 and see how we can bring some more science and innovation that can help humanity and animals all across the world.
We'll take one or two more questions and we're going to call it. I'm always available 24/7, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week to answer questions or to do what we have to do. And I want to thank everybody for being on. And Katie, thank you for everything that you've done. And
I'm sorry, John, may I ask one quick follow-up I was having trouble unmuting for a second.
Go ahead.
Yeah,
Go ahead,
thank
Dan.
you. I just wanted to ask you and Dr. Oz both spoke about the incredible opportunity here. As you know, CFIA has made the counterpoint that, well, if you really wanted to test what happens when ostriches get H5N1, you could just, inoculate them with H5N1 in a controlled environment in a laboratory study. It's not like these are the only ostriches in the world that have had H5N1. There are many, many in South Africa, for example. So I'm just wondering how you respond to that point about, because they would say it's not really a great opportunity. You could just do this yourself if you wanted to.
Dan, all I'm going to say is let the doctors get together in one room and talk. What's wrong with that? I mean, the Dr. Oz offered the FDA, the most iconic institute in the world, not the country, the world. I mean, give me a break. I mean, let's have some. All I ask for is common sense. That's all I ask for. These animals deserve to live. Thank you, Dan.
And could I just
Okay.
add to that? These birds are a product of decades of careful breeding, survival, adaptation, and their immune system has seen environmental challenges that you can't just go recreate. So these antibodies in these older animals are way more robust in their eggs than a younger ostrich. So this is something that you can't just go recreate. So that's what we're fighting for is these animals are offer so much. They're a living vault of immunity, and they're a renewable source of life-saving antibodies and a test of whether humanity chooses, like I said, destruction over discovery. And we can discover something that can really support healing the world here.
And on a closing note, I think these animals deserve to live, and if they're killed, if they're
Yeah,
killed, we're not gonna end it there. There's
no.
going to be massive investigations on why the rush to kill these animals.
I've got one last question here. John, it's Brady with CBC here. Have there been any are you pursuing it all, or Katie, as you as well, any process to get the ostriches across the border to the US to do that research? And if so, have you looked in transportation options, how that would work? Is that on the table at all?
I think that all it takes is people to be willingness to sit down and have a common sense discussion around a round table. And as President Trump has said very often, all we have to do is sit down, and there's always a deal there.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you all for being on. I'm available 24/7, like I said. And thank you. And may the sun shine on America. And when I say America, I mean Canada and the United States, because we're in it in the same boat together. Thank you so much. And
Thank you, John.
we love you all. Thank you.
Love you.